I used to never put sunscreen on, like when I go outside or.
Bro, I'm against sunscreen. Thank you guys for joining me on Untitled Success for season 2, where we go behind the scenes with local business owners. Today with me is Mark Salama with Pure Perfection out in Rancho Mirage. I know you guys see a different setup today. We want to give you guys a feel of all the different setups that we have here at ABD Production. I hope you guys enjoy it. Thank you for joining me, man.
Thanks for having me, Tim.
Of course, bro.
I appreciate that.
So the very first question I always got to ask everybody is like, who were you in high school?
I would say I was kind of like the quiet guy. I had, I was in a lot of honors and AP classes, so I was smart, but I didn't really try too hard. You know how it is in high school. Like you want to just hang out with your friends and kind of just take it easy. But yeah, I would say like my parents kind of, from a young age, they kind of pushed me. So I had my parents kind of pushing me to study harder and do well. So I had that going for me. But then I also was kind of like, I just want to hang out with my friends, just, play sports, do things like just hang out on the weekends. So I was kind of like that type of guy, I would say, in high school.
So you weren't really loud. You were just kind of to yourself.
Yeah, I wasn't like the class clown or anything. I think when I was younger, I was more like outspoken. And then as I got into high school, I kind of like calmed down a bit.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, I would say as I got older, I kind of like found my niche because I feel like when I was younger, I was just kind of all over the place.
Yeah. Were you always into like medicine, or how did that passion for medicine grow?
Yeah, so I think I always kind of had the passion for medicine from a young age. Part of the reason was my dad is a doctor, so like growing up, I would see him, treating patients, and he would talk to me a lot about his job and things like that. My mom was an engineer too, so I always had like the math side of it too. Like I always thought I would be either an engineer or a doctor, just like every other Egyptian person in the world, or a lawyer. But I didn't have the lawyer side on my family, so that one didn't apply to me. But it was always a doctor or engineer. And then I think as I got into high school is when I started to develop like interest in like the sciences and chemistry, biology, things like that. And then that's when I kind of, decided, hey, I think I do want to become like a doctor or something in the medical field. And then it just kind of went from there.
And what specifically MD are you for our viewers to know?
So I am a family medicine physician.
Okay.
So what that means is I see kind of everyone. So I see kids, I see women, I see adults, I see like geriatrics or older patients. So I see all types of ages and everyone essentially.
Yeah. So you decided to graduate, be a full-fledged doctor, and was like, hey, you know what? Instead of me working under a hospital or doing any of this stuff, I'm going to open up my own med spa.
Yeah, so it didn't quite work like that. I do still work like with a hospital system.
Okay.
So I do still work in clinic and urgent care mostly. And then I always had the idea though that I wanted to open up my own place, like clinic from a young age too. Like I always wanted to, have my own spot from when I was.
But not a med spa.
Yeah, and it never crossed my mind for it to be a med spa. Like at that time, I didn't even know what a med spa was probably when I was younger. I guess how that started is I met my wife and we got married and all that, and then she was working in that field over the last 4 or 5 years, and she was a nurse that did injectables, and she kind of introduced me to that world, and then the more kind of I researched, the more we talked, the more I saw what she was doing, the more I knew about it, then that's when the thought kind of started.
So you still work at a clinic, and you guys decided to open up your med spa at the same time.
Yeah, so I still work at with the hospital system, and then we have our own clinic as well.
So you have your clinic and you have the med spa, right? And this med spa you opened about a year and a half ago?
Yeah, about a year.
Can you take us through the process of like what was the first steps in opening up that med spa?
Yeah, so I think before even opening up the med spa is like the decision to open up a med spa. So that's like a very tough step as well. You always have like the idea of, I want to do something for myself and have my own spot and all that. But then to actually do it, it's like a totally different ball game. But once we made that step of we want to open it, It was more about then researching and kind of going online, YouTube, Google, speaking with other people, including like CPA, lawyer, is kind of what classification the med spa would be under. So, there's LLC, S Corp, C Corp, all those. But, for a medical profession, it's supposed to be an S Corp. So we opened that first, and we did it with the Secretary of State website on the California page. And then obviously like registering with the state, they have to come check out the area, make sure it's like not a fire hazard, all that stuff. So I would say those were like the first few steps in like registering all the business licenses and all that stuff. And then getting everything right with the city and the state. And then after that, it was like more finding the place, which also took a while.
Let's touch on that, right? So opening up a med spa is not your regular business, right? So the S Corp is relatively not difficult if you find the right lawyers and if you find the right, CPA that you work with. Registering with the state, all of that's not difficult. But licensing to say that you're a med spa might be quite difficult.
Yeah. So in terms of like insurance, you also need like a malpractice insurance, obviously, because you're doing medical like procedures or, there's liability with that. You also need like a general liability type of insurance. So you just need you need all the insurance plus the malpractice insurance for any other business, so you have to get all the regular basic insurances plus the malpractice, which is additional to the medical specific field.
But there's also different licensing specific to med spa as well, correct?
Yeah, so you have to, your malpractice insurance has to cover you and then anyone that works in your place. So that includes all the, if you have nurses, if you have RN, NP, whatever it is, so that malpractice insurance covers your actual business and then all the people in your business.
Okay.
And that's all like, it's all like under one umbrella.
Okay. All right. So you find the new spot, like you guys look around. I think one of the more intricate things is you're working at a clinic. You're making, fictitious numbers, let's say 200,000, right? And then you guys are like, hey, we can make X, Y, and Z from this med spa, but there's a lot of upfront costs to begin with, which could like seem very, very daunting in order to do that, right? So once you find that, like how did you guys make that decision to be like, hey, there is going to be a lot of upfront cost, but 3-year mark, 2-year mark, 1-year mark, we should be able to do a lot better by that time.
So that's also another kind of what I was saying about the making the decision to open up. It's like a lot of what you're talking about goes into that part. The cost of opening up a med spa, it's very expensive. So there's a lot of things you got to buy. There's a lot of machines. There's a lot of product you got to get. Obviously,
a lot of regulations. I would assume.
A lot of regulations. You have to open accounts with different vendors to purchase the products. So it's not easy, I'll say. But kind of going back to when I was younger, I had always thought of owning my own place or having my own place. And I think, I just needed a little bit of a push. And I had that from a few people. Some of them were family members. Some of them were like close friends that had businesses. So I always, growing up in like medical field, they don't really teach you anything about business. So that was kind of more of a self-explored and self-taught and speaking with other people. So that was a very big, help in opening it up because I didn't really know anything about business or, how to open a business, how to hire, how to even start opening. Like I didn't know anything about like the licensing. I didn't know anything about that stuff. So a lot of it was just speaking with people and then just getting more familiar, talking to the lawyers, talking to the CPAs, talking to people that have professional experience with this because I wasn't very familiar. And once I think I kind of knew a little bit about it, I got that little push from a couple like family members and friends. And then that's when we decided, hey, my wife's uncle, he has a few businesses and he's the one that actually kind of gave us one of the pushes that we need. He told us, let's say that the business fails. Like, let's say worst case scenario, it fails. What do you have to lose?
I mean, it's a fair question, right? Respectfully, you guys are relatively young. like you guys can bounce back pretty quickly. You're a doctor, she's a head nurse, right? Like you guys could bounce back pretty quickly, but it's also daunting to know that maybe we could be out like 300,000-400,000.
Yeah. And that's always, it's always that back and forth. But like you said, he kind of put into perspective, like, if we're not going to do it now, we're never going to do it. So it's either now or never type of thing. So, and there's always a risk, of course. It's not like, oh, like this is going to for sure work out and everything's going to be amazing. And, but it was kind of like now was the perfect time. And especially in our lives, like where me and my wife were and where we were kind of at in terms of, like our family planning and all that stuff. So it was kind of like the get up and go moment. So we decided to get up and go.
How'd you find the location?
Yeah, so that was also, it took a little bit of time. It was through just online. So there was, we're renting, so we didn't buy a place yet. But it was just through like the online app. I forget the name of it.
Like LoopNet?
Yeah, LoopNet. Yeah, it was through LoopNet. So just kept going on LoopNet every like day, seeing if there was anything around us. We were looking more in like Rancho Mirage area or Palm Desert area. And then there was, it's actually like a medical building. So it's a bunch of medical offices. And then there was an opening there. And I got in touch with the person that's like in charge of it. And then we were able to secure it.
Was there any like, not regulation, but is for example, like a med spa, if I open up a med spa today here in this location, there might be a clause that say like there cannot be a med spa within, X amount of miles.
So it's not that. It's more that in the city, there's only certain areas where you can have like a medical building or like a medical establishment. So you have to go to the city to check this specific address if a medical like office or building can be opened in this specific area. So yeah, you can't open a medical office or a med spa or any medical practice anywhere in the city. There's specific zones based on like the city requirements. I'm not really too sure like what goes into that, but they just tell you, hey, like these are the areas where you can be in.
So if you're talking to someone who's trying to open up their med spa, one of the things that I'm gathering is that you would say like, hey, look for medical buildings because it might be not advantageous for you to try to start a brand new place because you have to get the city approval and you have to get through like code zoning and all this jazz.
Yeah.
So it's better to find a medical building.
Yeah, and exactly. So I like I was telling you, so that whole area is a medical office. So there was already medical practices and offices there.
Okay.
So it's pretty much like, hey, like this is okay.
Okay.
But yeah, it would be much easier if you were in a medical office or a medical building or a larger medical area. Then that, hey, I could do it over here. What
was your original vision when you guys thought of this like med spa, and how did it evolve as it opened?
Yeah. So I think the vision part, you always dream big or have a big vision.
For sure.
And you don't realize that growth is very, not small, but it's very incremental.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't happen as fast as you think it might, but that's like, ideally in my brain, I wanted to have a big place. I wanted to have multiple rooms. I wanted to have multiple nurses who were doing the procedures and the injections at the same time. That's like down the road, a long ways away. But that's kind of what I had always thought of in the back of my brain when I say, oh, let's open a med spa. Right now, though, I did a lot of reading too before I opened up the med spa. And there was a book called, I think, Med Spa Confidential. One of the key points in that book was it's a lawyer and a doctor who had both opened their own med spas and sold it for like multiple millions later on to like big corporations. So one of their points was that you want to open really small and you want to start very small and you want to keep your overhead as low as possible, especially in the beginning as you're building your clientele. And then after that, you can kind of see which direction things are going and then what your services your clients like. What's like an area for growth, and then you can grow and get bigger and buy more expensive machines and lasers and all that stuff, because some people kind of buy a huge place, they buy very expensive equipment, and then they have these huge loans and the rent is expensive and all this, and then they don't really have that steady flow of people coming in, so it kind of puts you behind the 8 ball when you do it like that. So that book actually was one of the kind of key reasons why I wanted to start, very small. I wanted to start with, just like the injectables, like Botox filler, microneedling, no expensive machinery yet. Just because I want to kind of grow the clientele. I want to have consistent people coming in through the door before I, put down for a $300,000 laser machine.
Yeah. While you're opening up this med spa, did it ever occur to you and say like, hey, there's like maybe 4 or 5 different med spas around here. If I just do fillers and microneedling and Botox, they can go down the street and get that same same stuff. Like, what would make me advantageous to open up one? Or did you think on the side of, hey, there's enough pie to go around that like opening up another med spa will be successful?
Yeah, so I think it's a little bit of both. So in that area too, in the Rancho Mirage, Palm Desert area, it's not as saturated as like Orange County, San Diego, LA. In those areas, it's like a med spa is like every corner. It's not as impacted out there. So that was like, hey, like maybe there's an opportunity in this area. So that was one thing. And I think also there are certain things that sets each place apart, and if you can kind of like hone into what sets you apart, then you can kind of work that specific angle and get those types of clients that you're trying to get. So there's always each place has a little bit of like a niche or specific thing that they advertise or they're good at, or that they want to do. So I felt like in this specific area we had clients that we could get to, and it wasn't so impacted. There are a few other med spas around us, but I felt like, hey, we could still kind of, there's always, like you said, we could always get a piece of the pie. There's, unlimited kind of potential out there, and I think we can get some of it.
Yeah. While opening it up, the first few steps that you opened up, what was your biggest roadblock?
I think for me, the biggest roadblock was just learning about like kind of I was telling you about the business side and how to even open it up. Like that was like the hardest part for me. And then just figuring out what paperwork I had to complete. There's no like, there are some checklists online of like, oh, these are the 5, 6, 7 things you need to do, but it's not very straightforward. And then calling the California Secretary of State people, they never answer the phone. They're not very responsive. So it's like I made a mistake on one of the forms. I had to go back and like edited it, and that took forever. It was very difficult to kind of get in touch with them. So it was more about figuring out how to open it and how to open it the correct way, and what forms and how to fill out everything correctly. I think that was the hardest part, probably in my opinion. And then also just kind of learning more about the products and becoming very comfortable with the products and like the different services. My wife was kind of more familiar because she worked in that field for many years before I was even aware of the field. So she knew a lot about it. So she taught me a lot and explained things to me. And then obviously I, did my own research and things like that, and just got more familiar with what is out there.
Okay, so we have the roadblock prior to opening. Now, after opening, what was your first roadblock?
I would say having consistent customers and consistent people coming in. In the beginning, it's when you first opened, you still remember like that first customer that you get and you're like ecstatic. The first customer that you don't know. Because you always have like your friends, family that will come, and that's cool. But it's not like you advertise and they came and they didn't know about you or something. They knew that you were there. But having your first customer that's through advertising, that was like a big deal. And then just figuring out the way to keep it consistent and having people coming in consistently. That's something we're still like, working on and trying to get better at, obviously. I think every business is still trying to figure out ways to get more clients or have more consistent revenue and things like that. So just figuring out what works and what doesn't work for advertising was a very big roadblock.
Can we touch on that? Like, how did you figure out what works and what doesn't?
Trial and error.
Like, what was your best thing that you did and you're like, oh, this actually works? And what was your like, oh, this does not work? We're gonna pull the plug on this one pretty quickly.
Yeah, so I think you don't really know what works in terms of advertising, at least in my opinion, for this field until you kind of try.
Okay.
And you experiment, because you can have the best ad in the world. You think, oh, like I'm discounting whatever, like the price of this thing by $50, $100, whatever. This should bring in a lot of people. When in reality, sometimes you discount it and you don't get any bites or no one really comes in. So I think that actually the one thing that did really click is having some sort of visual like video with one of the injectors or the nurses performing a certain treatment, and then just showing kind of the aesthetic of the place, showing the procedure, and not even mentioning pricing or anything. And I found that that actually got us more followers and also more clients and more people booking. Just by, showing, like I said, the specific treatment, and then showing how it's done, or like giving a little bit of a breakdown of how it's done, and then just showing the actual clinic.
Did you do like mailers? Did you do like Google ads? It seems like a lot of the people that we know, they press heavy on Google ads versus like Yelp versus like mailers.
Yeah, so we did mostly Facebook and Instagram ads.
Oh, nice.
So we got actually a lot of people from Instagram. We did try Google ads before. There's just a lot of difficulty with Google ads in terms of medical businesses, because you can't market or you can't advertise like Botox, or you can't advertise any sort of medical treatment or medication or anything like that. So Google is very tough about that. So it's very hard to advertise on Google in terms of med spas, just because you have to be very careful of like the words that you use, because it's like pharmaceutical and you can't advertise any sort of medications. But on we found like the most success on Facebook and Instagram. We also do, we do SEO and things like that on Google. So, but Google is where we get a lot of our customers too, through just the reviews, and people leaving us reviews, and because like the reviews are huge in the marketing and the med spa space.
Yeah.
So we try to get as many reviews as we can, and like the 5 stars. So that a lot of people find us through Google just by searching med spa near me or whatever, or Botox or filler,
So let's say like 6 months in, right? You have your clinic that you work at. You're working this med spa. You're also kind of doing your own advertising, right? Like you're pretty much spread kind of thin, right? Did you ever kind of question yourself and say, "Hey, am I making the right move?"
In terms of just having the place?
Having the place?
Yeah. Honestly, the beginning was the hardest, I would say.
Okay.
That was the most challenging part. Once we opened and had all like the correct documentation and found the place, I would say it got a lot easier. Now it's just, we have one goal, is just to get larger and to, advertise to more people and to show them what we have to offer. And now it's kind of just bringing in more clients. But I would say in the beginning, I never said I regretted it. I would never say that. I'm actually very happy that
Not regret, but
yeah.
like sometimes, as someone who starts a business, right? Like you said, you open, let's say you open today, right? And you're like, okay, I have everything set up, the paperwork, everything.
Yeah.
But now I'm just waiting for customers to walk in.
Yeah.
And that's a little scary, right? And then on top of that, you're like, sometimes you lay your head on the pillow and you're like, am I making the right decision?
Yeah.
Right? Has that ever occurred?
Honestly, no.
Okay.
I would say I felt like that we had made the right decision when we first decided to open it up.
Okay.
And I felt like, hey, why didn't we even think of this sooner? Like, I feel like maybe we could have even opened a longer time ago. Because there's so many positives to opening up a business. Obviously there's negatives. But the fact that you can control your schedule, control your time, kind of do things how you like, it's different than having like you working for someone. So there's positive and negatives, don't get me wrong, but I'm honestly very happy that we did do it, and I'm glad that we decided to take that step and open it.
You touched on something, like you said, there's positive and negatives. What's the one negative thing about having your own business?
One negative, I would say, or it's not a negative, but it's something you have to know, is it never stops, so if you have a regular like 9 to 5, the work stops at 5, let's say.
Yeah.
Maybe you have something to do after, but that's very rare. But if you have your own business, it's like at nighttime or earlier in the morning, you're constantly thinking of ways to improve. You're reviewing things. You're kind of especially for us, we have to do our charting at night usually. Like, so we see the patients throughout the day. A lot of times it's not enough time to do the charting. So like we have to write exactly what we did, how the patient tolerated the procedures or how they did after the injections, and then if there was any complications. So a lot of times my wife is doing that charting at nighttime. We're also like planning for the next day, seeing who's coming in, reviewing inventory, reviewing our sales. So, you know, it's never ending. So you're always kind of looking and revising and kind of strategizing for like what's coming.
So when you guys first opened up, right, it's you and your wife and that's it.
Yeah.
And then when was the first time you guys decided we need to hire someone else?
So we hired another nurse about 2 or 3 months ago.
Okay.
So yeah, with the goal of obviously, you know, having my wife slow down and then hopefully getting more injectors and then kind of oversee. My wife would oversee them.
Do you have a receptionist?
No, we actually do not have a receptionist. We were getting like talking about getting like a virtual receptionist because we are appointment only. So there's no walk-ins. So you know, my wife will usually just come to the front and greet them and then bring them in. But we don't have a receptionist. Actually, our landlord didn't allow us to have a receptionist because there's other businesses in that specific building. So once we get our own place, that's definitely something that we want to do though.
Okay, how was it hiring your first person?
So it's tough, you know, because you don't necessarily know who they are. The good thing that for us specifically was it's my wife's cousin, so you know she knows her and she was able to train her and kind of show her the ropes. So for us, it was honestly like a pretty smooth experience. But I could see like for other businesses, or you know, if you're not familiar with the person or if you don't know anything about them, you got to run the background check. You got to, got to do all that. You got to set everything up. You got to put them under your malpractice insurance. And it's scary, especially for a medical business, if you're bringing in someone that you don't really know and then they're under your liability.
Because everything falls on you.
Yeah, exactly. So, but for us, I would say, it was less stressful maybe than other places.
So as of today, how has your services has changed now? So we started off with just injectables, right? Have we changed our service since then?
So we haven't really changed much. We maybe took away a few things.
Okay.
So in the beginning, we had thought we would do a lot of IV therapy. There hasn't been like a consistent need for it. It's like come and go. So we kind of don't offer it all the time now.
Okay.
Maybe in like certain seasons, like in the summertime, but like in the winter, it's like not really demanded heavily. So we don't really carry it that much in the winter. And yeah, we've just kind of been perfecting our injectables and like microneedling specifically too. And then we have something called jet plasma. So all these are like handheld devices for the skin. They do different things, scars, rosacea, acne, just depends like what the situation is. But we've kind of just been honing in on those. And then we also do PRF, which is like PRP.
Yeah.
It's kind of similar. So you can...
What's the difference between PRF and PRP?
One's called platelet-rich plasma and the other one's platelet-rich fibrin. So the PRF is a little bit more natural. People say it doesn't have any of the additives because you use a specific tube for PRP that contains like certain additives. So what you do is you get the person's blood and you kind of put into this tube. You put in a centrifuge, which is a machine that kind of spins it around, and then it extracts, or the top layer of it has like platelets and growth factors, and then so you use that top part, you take that out, and then you can inject it in kind of different places.
Yeah.
So we even use it in like arthritis for in the hospital, and knees and shoulders and things like that. You can also use it in like the face too. It acts as like a really good stimulant for collagen and healing and things like that. So we do it a lot in the under eyes, so it can help with like baggy under eyes.
Okay.
So that's another thing that we do that's like we're really trying to perfect. So we're trying to get really good at the basics. I think that's like a very big point too, is you want to get really comfortable and really good and you want to build that clientele with the basics, because then you can kind of expand and open and sell like higher market products. But our goal is to for sure get a laser machine, in the near future.
Yeah.
But yeah, we kind of just do the injectable side, and then like the microneedling and skin pen and the jet plasma.
So with the med spa and with your med spa specifically, this is demanding. Med spas in general are just a demanding job. That you have almost 2 jobs, plus like you're taking care of your household, you're married. Like, how do you not get burnt out? How do you find that balance between like, putting each compartment in your head, as well as like not losing the energy to keep going?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. I think, you gotta always make time still for yourself and for your marriage and for your family and personal time as well. So, one of those things that I like to do is I like to go to the gym regularly. After work, I like to at least go 3 or 4 times a week. That's like kind of a every week non-negotiable type thing. I like to also make time with my wife to go on dates and go out to dinner, things like that. And then also like to make time to see my family, on the weekends whenever I can. So maybe like once a month or twice a month, something like that. So those are just a few things that I do in my personal life just to try to balance everything. And, because work is work, but then you also got to make time for the people that really matter.
That was my next question. What are your non-negotiables? So gym is non-negotiable.
Gym, yeah. And then family time kind of as well. And then also every night, usually me and my wife, when we're laying on the couch, like watching something, when she's doing her charting for the day, we'll talk about like the patients that she saw, and it's kind of like a talk therapy. So she'll be like, "Hey, I saw this person, did this, it went well," and then I'll kind of tell her about my day too. So it makes it's like a talk session, venting session. It's good for like kind of just releasing and kind of getting rid of the day's stresses and kind of just relaxing and just talking to your spouse.
Okay.
So that's something that we like to do too.
So what advice would you give someone who's thinking about starting their own med spa today?
I would say do it. That would be my advice. Do it. I had people, like I had mentioned earlier, I had a few people in my corner that had helped me out and kind of gave me that push that I needed. But I also knew people or had people, not like close family or friends, but other people that had kind of discouraged me from doing it, me and my wife. So I would say just do it. I like we talked about earlier. I think I had told you it's like, what's the worst that could happen, or like, it fails. Yeah, that you got to be at the right part of your life too. It's tough. I can't like generalize for everyone speaking, but if you have the idea or the thought, you want to kind of get some concrete details of how you would do it. Once you feel like you kind of have like a general plan, then just go for it and then start very small. That's what I would tell them.
Do you think you could open up a med spa today, right now in Orange County?
I think I could. It would definitely, like I was mentioning to you earlier, Orange County is very saturated. So you would have to find like a perfect spot in Orange County. I'm not very familiar with like which spot that would be in, but it would definitely be tough. But I think you would have to focus, like I said, start small, focus on the few things that you're good at, or that you can get people that can help you be good at it, and then work really small. Get like a small room. You don't need anything crazy to start off with. You don't need a huge warehouse. You don't need 6 rooms. You just need 1 room.
Yeah.
And then once you can get consistent people moving through that 1 room, then hey, maybe we can kind of expand or get different treatments or products or a larger machine or whatever it is. But yeah, I think I could.
Okay. So what's the next step for you guys now?
The next step, I would say, we're gonna probably look at expanding soon. So getting a bigger place with more rooms, hiring more injectors.
But you want to stay in that kind of same vicinity, same location?
Yeah, same general area within maybe 5-10 minutes if possible. And then looking to get a bigger spot, and then kind of just slowly, building on what we've been building.
Okay. All right, well, this is now the fun segment. These are hot takes now.
Okay.
So as med spa hot takes, right? So what's a service or trend in med spa that you think is completely overhyped?
So I would say not maybe overhyped, but there was the trend of like the the really big lips, people still like that. Some people still like that look.
Yeah.
You know, we've had people, or my wife has treated people that, you know, are requesting just to kind of keep filling their lips, and we politely will decline them, you know,
Okay.
because at a certain point it's not very natural. It doesn't look good, to be honest. You know, some people like that look, but we don't want to, you know, we tell them, hey, we don't really think that we should keep doing this. It's not very like appealing, to be honest with you. But some people, you know, they could go to another place and have their lips done there and kind of keep that kind of shape or appearance. But we kind of have like a certain kind of like hard no if we think it doesn't look good, or we don't want our med spa or our practice to kind of be, you know, kind of participating in that kind of look.
Okay.
So that's kind of like one thing I would say.
Most underrated.
Underrated, I would say microneedling is probably most underrated.
Really?
Yeah. Not. I mean,
Why do you think that?
I think people don't really know how good it is, or maybe some people do, but I feel like, you know, at least in our practice, a lot of people love microneedling. Like once they do it once or twice, they really enjoy it, and they see a big change in their skin because it's very visible, like the changes that it makes in the skin. So it really helps with like acne. So like if someone has bad acne and microneedling, they do a few microneedling sessions. It really helps with the acne.
A lot of people do microneedling for hair too.
Yeah. So it's usually, is it PRP for hair or?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
PRP for hair.
Yeah, like for growth.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that one's we do that one too. So it's same thing. You get the person's blood, you spin it in, and then you inject it into their scalp, and that really helps with, especially like postpartum.
Yeah.
A lot of women have postpartum hair loss, so that treatment's really good for that too, or just general hair thinning.
Okay. Next question is, if you had to start over in a totally different industry, what would you try next?
What would I try next? Honestly, so my father-in-law, he's into construction. I've always loved like construction and remodeling and you know, remodeling a house and things like that. So I would say probably like a construction business. I know those are very tough to kind of make successful. I know like they're like one of the most failed businesses, because I feel like a lot of people try to open construction businesses, but I would say probably construction.
Construction is amazing, man.
Yeah.
Like seeing something come from the ground level up, and it's like you did it. I think that's pretty
No,
amazing.
it's awesome, and I don't know how to do any of it. So
Yeah.
but it looks really good, you know, because I see my father-in-law and like how good he is. He's been doing it for a long time. So yeah.
All right, so we got some rapid fire now, and then I got a couple questions at the end too for you.
All right.
So rapid fire. Favorite treatment to perform?
I would say probably just Botox.
Botox?
Quick, easy, no downtime.
Okay. One product or tool you swear by?
The microneedling skin pen.
Okay. Go-to song when you're stressed?
I would say, I like listening to the liturgy a lot. That's
Yeah.
not a song, but and then I would say Nate Dogg.
Nate Dogg?
So Fly.
So far. One thing that instantly elevates the client's experience?
Yeah, so that's a good question. I would say there's two things that I could think of off the top of my head. First thing I would say is, you know, when they first come in, welcoming them, offering them water, coffee, whatever, snack. And then the second thing is being very honest with them in terms of what their goals are. So if a person has an unrealistic goal or like a surgical goal, being very honest with them and telling them, hey, you know, I can provide certain level of treatments or certain level of results, but if you're looking for this specific result, that's not going to be possible with what we have to offer. You might need a surgery to fix whatever it is. So we found that being very honest and being very forthcoming with the clients actually makes them want to keep coming back. You know, because some people, you know, they would, you know, maybe not be so honest, try to upsell, things like that. So just being very transparent, saying, hey, you know, if this is what you're looking for, maybe we're not the best for you right now. Maybe you need to consider like more advanced treatment. So just being very honest with them. And I think people and patients really appreciate when you're very honest and telling them, hey, like, this is what we can do. This is what we can't do.
You know, honestly, touching on that, I think that's a very great thing, because as someone who's new, sometimes you say like, okay, let's try to figure out and get it done, right? And you're not necessarily providing the best service for that person because you don't you might not understand that yet, right? Or number two, you don't want to turn away clients.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the hardest things to do is like turn
Exactly.
away clients. But if you're very fitting and understand what you're good at, you're like, hey, outside of this, I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's also because at the end of the day, let's say you do try to make it work and it doesn't work, then it's like you have more problems than what you started with.
Right.
They're going to be very upset. Hey, you promised me this, that, and the other. So we're always very honest from the first time we meet them. We ask them like exactly what their goals are, what their concerns are. The nurse or my wife will give them a very detailed treatment plan. These are the things we can do for you. These are the things we can't do for you. These are the things we can help you with. These are the things we can't really help you with.
Yeah.
So if they are accepting and the treatment plans falls within our scope, then we'll definitely help them and do it for them. And if we think that, hey, this is kind of, like I said, more advanced or needs more advanced treatments, then we tell them, hey, we won't be able to really provide much more than this. Maybe you should kind of go here or see some other person.
Okay. Guilty pleasure after work. Besides the gym, don't say gym's not a guilty pleasure, but your guilty pleasure after a long day.
Probably eating like ice cream or chocolate. Yeah, like while watching some sort of show. Yeah, probably like on the couch just eating chocolate.
What show are you guys into right now?
So we just finished White Lotus.
Okay.
I'm also watching The Last of Us.
Okay.
And then those are like the kind of the two right now.
Any of those you watching, David?
What?
White Lotus?
Yeah, I finished it.
It's on HBO. It was okay.
It's fire.
Yeah.
It was good. I think season 2 was the best one. I don't.
Yeah, I like season 2.
Yeah, season 3 was like a little slow.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a pretty good show. You should check it out if you haven't watched
If
it.
you like drama and eavesdropping on people, that's basically the
Yeah, which is everybody.
It's an Egyptian show.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
All right, so I got a couple last questions, right? So as a doctor and having a med spa, right? One of the things I realize is what's hot right now. One of the things that's hot is NAD injectables, right? And I really like the premise of having NAD as a high level of understanding what it is. But like when you do the research for it, they're like, hey, there's no valid peer review research for it yet.
Yeah.
So how do you weigh yourself between like, hey, this works and we've seen it work on other people versus like, what is the peer review about it?
Yeah. So as a doctor, all of our medications and treatments and all that stuff, it has to be like backed by science or backed by some sort of research, and there's findings that suggest, hey, this works or hey, this doesn't work. So I like to kind of do that in terms of any sort of treatment that we offer. So if there's not really much evidence, then I don't think it, in my opinion, I don't think it should be kind of given out or we should offer it.
Okay.
I like to kind of, like I said, I like to be where in science is very black and white. It's either good or not good. It works or doesn't work. Sometimes there's things that are, hey, maybe sometimes work. Those maybe you can, argue, oh, like let's do those. But it's very rare that there's something that doesn't work half the time.
So like Ozempic, right? A lot of med spas offer, what is it called?
GLP-1.
GLP-1,
Yeah.
right? There's articles that are saying it's good for you. There's articles that are saying that it's bad for you, right? How do you weigh yourself when it comes to like GLP-1?
Yeah, so that's so there's different GLP-1s. So
Sure.
each one has like a little bit of a different kind of way that it works, but they all kind of are similar. And then there's different ones have also different degrees of weight loss. So some of them cause a little bit more weight loss, some of them maybe not so much. And it also depends on the person. So every person is different. Even when we prescribe Ozempic for diabetes, that was the original kind of reason it was even like made or prescribed was for type 2 diabetics. We don't really give it for the weight loss. We give it to help control their sugar. But for a person that's just using it for obesity or to lose weight, we always kind of will tell them, hey, we don't really know how much weight loss you're going to have. So, and it's also multifactorial. So, you can't just take the medication and then have a bad diet, not do any physical activity and expect to lose weight. So we we talk about it in terms of it's like a catalyst. It's like jump starting your car. You still have to drive the car after you jump start your car, right?
Okay.
So you can't just jump start it and then, I mean, if you have a Tesla, maybe it'll drive itself, but not the purpose of this analogy. But so yeah, we're very honest with them in terms of even prescribing it for weight loss, that, hey, you got to kind of watch your diet, go to the gym. We can definitely help you out with medications if it's been a struggle or if you're not been able to lose weight. But we can't guarantee, oh, you'll lose 15, 20 pounds. So we tell them, hey, this might help. We can, as long as you're not having side effects and as long as you're tolerating the medication, we can continue to try and keep you on it.
Is there any new cutting edge technology that you're looking forward to add to your med spa at some point?
Probably like things with AI.
Okay.
And then having, because I know now they have like remote receptionists or AI receptionists, things like that. They answer the phone. They can kind of answer questions. They can book people in.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
But that's one side for like the business, but like what about technology for your performance?
What do you mean?
Like, is there any new cutting edge technology that you're like, oh, this is going to help with hair growth, skincare, something that's new that you're like, oh, I'm looking forward to doing research on that to see if we can provide it?
Oh, I see. That's a good question. I'm not that I immediately can think off the top of my head. I would say those, and you brought up skincare. Skincare is also very important. We have a skincare line with one of the companies. So skincare is also like kind of like the foundation of, you know, any sort of facial treatment. So you have to have good skincare to even kind of get the ball rolling in terms of being able to do Botox fillers and microneedling. So skincare is like kind of like the foundation of it all. So you have to have good skincare and to kind of start things off.
And since you've opened up your med spa, this is again maybe the last question, but since you opened up your med spa, what's some things that you now do that you didn't used to do before opening up a med spa?
It's skincare.
like what? Like, are you because most guys, I think for us, we just kind of wash our face.
Yeah.
Just kind of go through our day, right? What do you do now that you didn't do a year ago?
So my wife has a bunch of different types of skincare, but she will like make me put on like vitamin C a lot of times, some sort of like moisturizing cream or lotion, and then even also like sunscreen. I used to never put sunscreen on like when I go outside or...
Bro, I'm against sunscreen.
Yeah. So it's going to the pool or going to the beach. I would never put on sunscreen, but now it's like I usually put it on just to prevent the wrinkles, you know, or like for the future, because I know how bad the sun is for your skin.
So, okay. Egyptians, most guys too, we don't put sunscreen on.
Yeah.
Because we're like, bro, we want to burn to a crisp.
Yeah.
You're saying because you're not putting sunscreen on, you're going to wrinkle.
It's so like, skin, like sun coming in contact with the skin causes wrinkles. So I still get very dark. Don't get me wrong. I was just in Egypt for like a week or two, and I got very dark still.
Yeah.
But it's honestly my wife. She's like, because she always puts on sunscreen. So whenever she puts it on now, she's gonna put it on me.
Oh man, I appreciate you coming through, man.
Thanks for
I think
having me, bro.
this is a great opportunity for people to see like a business starting from scratch, right? We have a lot of people that have been in the business for a long time, so it's kind of nice to see someone who's like starting from scratch, who's like, because if I ask you 5 years from now, you're gonna be like, I don't know, bro. Like it was hard. We did this, we did that, but it's nice to see someone who's like in it right now. So I appreciate you coming through with me, man.
No, thank you for having me. And yeah, like I always tell, like you asked me earlier, if someone's thinking about doing it, just, you know, I know it's tough or there's a lot of risks and benefits, but if you feel like it's really what you're meant to be doing, or it's really on your heart or on your mind, you should definitely just go for it and kind of just take that risk.
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Will.
All right, guys. Here's another episode of Untitled Success, Season 2 again. You guys heard a story, and this time, like you guys were asking before, this is a story that's from the get-go. Like, this is from the beginning. This is everything that he's stating from the beginning. So I hope this, again, serves as a blueprint for you guys. We're on the outro.